So today's topic is about Helmholtz free energy and Gibbs function and its physical significance. We studied the physical significance of enthalpy, but now we are moving towards the Helmholtz free energy and Gibbs functions. And let's first attack this guy, the Helmholtz free energy. Either you can write it as F or you can write it as A, doesn't matter. In our way of remembering through the thermodynamic square, we wrote it as F, but in your book it is written as A. So let's write it as A. So A was U minus Ts. A was U minus Ts. Therefore, dA was minus PdV minus SdT. You can easily derive this from taking differential on both sides, or directly you can write this from the thermodynamic square. It doesn't matter. But this dA is for infinitesimal change in A. This denotes infinitesimal change in A for infinitesimal reversible process. So what we studied yesterday is something called quasi-static process. Okay, so quasi-static process we studied yesterday, and quasi-static process means that process is going so slowly that at each stage of the process there is thermal equilibrium, there is chemical equilibrium, there is mechanical equilibrium. Every equilibrium is achieved at each and every stage of the process. And that quasi-static process is reversible. It is always reversible. You can take the piston out by a very small tiny mini amount, then you can press the piston inside again by a very small tiny mini amount. The system will again regain its original position. So that infinitesimal reversible process, quasi-static, is an example of infinitesimal reversible process. So generally, for infinitesimal change in infinitesimal reversible process is written as this dA equal to this. So what does this dA mean? You have to get it clear in your head. So that's why I wrote it. Okay. So now let's move on directly to attack. What does this A mean? So for reversible isothermal processes, this dt is going to be zero because the processes are isothermal. So those small reversible isothermal processes, this dt is going to be zero. Therefore, you can write this dA as minus pdv. You can write this dA as minus pdv, and therefore, if you take integration from the initial to final state, if you take integration from initial to final state, so for this this side, the integration becomes af minus ai, final state minus initial states. uh, Helmholtz free energy difference at constant temperature equal to negative of integration from initial stage to final stage PdV at constant temperature. And what is PdV? PdV is actually work done. PdV is actually work done by the system in our notation. And for reversible process, this, since we are talking about reversible process, minus of PdV is work done on the system. For reversible process, you must have studied these things in your 12th standard, 11th standard thermodynamics. But if you don't know this, just kindly ask right now. But this minus PdV will denote work done by this on the system, sorry, in our notations. So PdV is work done by the system, minus PdV work done on the system in our notation, not the notation of your book, but in our notation. The notations of your book are opposite. Minus PdV is work done by the system, and this is on the system. But eventually, physics will remain the same as you know it. Okay, so if you don't know this for reversible process, kindly ask me after the class. I'll be happy to help. Okay, so this AF minus AI is minus of this, and this part is total work done by the system. And since there is an extra negative sign in it, it means total work done on the system if this number is positive. So if AF minus AI is positive, then this whole integration denotes the work done on the system. But if AF minus AI is negative, then that negative will cancel out with this negative, and eventually this will remain the work done by the system. Okay, so this term will remain the work done by the system. So if you can segregate it like this, that if A increases, that means AF is greater than AI, then this side is going to be positive and this side is overall negative disintegration, and this negative disintegration full term means work is done on the system. If A increases, work is done on the system, and if A decreases, work is done. If AF is less than AI, then work is done by the system. If you don't understand it, just stop me right now and ask me questions. I know it is very cumbersome in the first place to think about this, that why we emphasize on this work done on the system and by the system. When I was a student, it was very difficult for me for these parts, how to remember this. But the answer is you don't remember it, you understand it. Eventually it gets in your head and you never forget it. Okay, so you never remember this, that work done on the system is positive, work done on the system is positive. Eventually you understand it and the answer is always there with you. Okay, so what does A mean? From this integration, we can easily say this is the integration. Where was the integration? I'm sorry. Yes, this is the integration. Let me draw a box around this guy. And this integration tells you that in a process where the Helmholtz free energy is increasing, Helmholtz free energy directly means the work done on the system. And if in the process, if A or Helmholtz free energy is decreasing, it simply means the work done by the system. So Helmholtz free energy is directly related to the work done. So A is some way or the other related to the work done. So eventually, what does it mean? What does it mean that A is related to work done? If A is increasing, it means work is done on the system. If you do work on the system, A will increase. You can think it by on the other way around. That if you do work on the system, then its free energy will increase. If you leave the system and tell it to do work, it will get exhausted and its free energy will decrease. So A is related to the work done. A is related to the work done some way or the other. Just as heat was related to the enthalpy, the Helmholtz free energy, is related to the work done. So it is its physical significance. There is also an energy, but it is related to work done. The enthalpy was also an energy, but it is related to heat. So A is related to work done. And in those processes where temperature does not change, just like the processes in the laboratory, the best way to talk about work done is by using this Helmholtz free energy. If you do the processes in open air at room temperature, at ambient temperature, the temperature will not change. So those processes will be isothermal processes. If those processes are reversible, to make those processes reversible, then eventually the work done in that process is actually identical to this Helmholtz free energy. So Helmholtz free energy is nothing new, that it does not tell you anything new, but it is the work done, nothing else. Okay, so any questions till this point? I'm open to questions. Yes. Any question?
सर
Yes.
सर यहाँ पर हम ए इंक्रीजेस होगा तो हम ले रहे हैं कि ए एफ ग्रेटर देन ए आई,
Yes.
तो राइट साइड में भी पॉजिटिव ही आना चाहिए ना, तो मतलब वर्क डन ऑन द सिस्टम कैसे हुआ?
Okay. Okay. Let me. Uh, okay. Where did it go? Okay. Yes. Okay. तो बात ये करते हैं if AF is greater than AI, then this is the term, complete term. Negative into this is the complete term. अब ये जो आगे वाला term है सिर्फ इतना सा, it means the work is done by the system. And if you put another negative in front of it, it means the work is done on the system. So if AF is greater than AI, then it means that this term is complete, full this term, including negative sign. It means the work is done on the system. Okay, is it clear? Yes.
सर हम इसे ऐसा समझे कि हम वर्क डन सिस्टम पे कर रहे हैं तो जो फाइनल वॉल्यूम होगा वो डिक्रीज होगा,
Yes.
इसलिए वर्क नेगेटिव आ रहा है।
अगर हम सिस्टम पे वर्क करें तो इसको वॉल्यूम की तरह समझोगे, then you have to move in the other direction. Okay, so yes, let me get your question again. Can I? You can ask. properly again?
सर मैं वही कंफ्यूज हूँ कि मतलब वर्क डन ऑन द सिस्टम कर रहे हैं तो नेगेटिव वर्क कैसे होगा? वही।
Okay, why PdV is work done minus PdV is work done on the system? ठीक है ना, यही क्वेश्चन है.
हाँ
Okay, यही क्वेश्चन है ना एग्जैक्टली.
हाँ वही।
ओके, सो लेट मी एक्सप्लेन इट दिस वे. तो जो एक बॉक्स लेते हैं, ठीक है, उसके अंदर कुछ गैस लेते हैं. आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू टेल यू द फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ थर्मोडायनेमिक्स ओनली, और उसी से इसका आंसर मिल सकता है. एक बॉक्स ऑफ गैस है, इसको आपने एक स्टव पे रख दिया, देयर इज अ स्टव हियर. सो इट इसमें से कुछ हीट यहाँ पे इनवर्ड फ्लो हो रहा है. तो अगर हीट इनवर्ड फ्लो होगा तो ये जो गैस मॉलिक्यूल्स है उनका इंटरनल एनर्जी क्या होगा?
बढ़ेगा।
बढ़ेगा. सो the way to change internal energy is you can increase Q of the system, so you can provide some heat into the system. और अगर ये पिस्टन अपने आप बाहर चला गया, अपने आप, जस्ट वी आर नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग हीट, लेट्स से इट इज नॉट प्लेस्ड ऑन द स्टव, बट ये गैस का प्रेशर इतना है कि वो पिस्टन को ऊपर ऊपर पुश कर रहा है, देन इवेंचुअली द इंटरनल एनर्जी ऑफ गैस विल गो अप और गो डाउन.
सर इंटरनल एनर्जी तो उतनी ही रहेगी ना?
ओके, इंटरनल एनर्जी विल गो डाउन बिकॉज काइनेटिक एनर्जी कम होगा, उसके पास अब बड़ा वॉल्यूम घूमने को. if this gas molecules put some pressure on this piston, then piston will move up. अब गैस के पास थोड़ा वॉल्यूम ज्यादा है घूमने को, तो इट्स काइनेटिक एनर्जी विल गो डाउन, its total internal kinetic energy will go down because the pressure of the gas is reduced eventually. So pressure of the gas is less, so kinetic energy will also be uh, less compared to the initial
सर
value.
हम प्रेशर डिक्रीज कर रहे हैं तो मतलब वो उसको एटम को जो फैलने की ज्यादा जगह मिल जाएगी, राइट?
Yes.
हाँ तो सर उसकी काइनेटिक एनर्जी फिर बढ़नी नहीं चाहिए?
नहीं, kinetic energy will decrease. Why kinetic energy is there at the first place? Kinetic energy is there because of the intermolecular collisions. At some temperature T, everybody is moving, and because of the collisions, because of that particular temperature and collisions, they are moving fast at particular temperature. Now, if you just slightly move this piston upwards, you know this relation PV equal to nRT. So just for the ideal gas, let's talk about ideal gas. If you move this piston upwards a little bit, you increase V, hence you increase temperature T. But eventually you also increase the pressure P because you are increasing volume V, and that eventually leads up in decreasing temperature. आप कभी भी कोई गैस बलून या किसी कुछ भी चीज देखा हो, just consider a spray can, उसमें से जो डिओडोरेंट बाहर निकलता है, it is very cold. Why it is cold? Because वहां पे बहुत ज्यादा प्रेशर था, वहां से कम प्रेशर के रीजन में गया, दैट मीन्स इट्स टेम्परेचर इज लेस. ठीक है, जो अंदर बॉटल के अंदर जो डिओडोरेंट था, इट वाज एट वेरी हाई प्रेशर, इट वाज liquefied, that much pressure was there. Now if you take it out in the lower pressure region, in the atmospheric region, it will appear to be cold. In your LPG CNG cylinders also this thing happens, that whenever you reduce the pressure of any system, it cools down. Whenever you reduce the pressure of any system, it cools down. So this is what happens whenever this piston moves up, it will cool down. The gas inside it will cool down, and eventually the temperature will go down, and that temperature will go down, that will cause the reduction in kinetic energy.
ओके सर.
ओके, सो अगर यहाँ पे रिडक्शन ऑफ काइनेटिक एनर्जी टेम्परेचर की वजह से हो रहा है, इट इज गोइंग आउटवर्ड्स, द रिडक्शन ऑफ काइनेटिक एनर्जी इज देयर बिकॉज ऑफ टेम्परेचर, एंड दैट मीन्स द सिस्टम्स ओवरऑल इंटरनल एनर्जी विल डिक्रीज. सो if you consider this PdV, the displacement of the piston, is the work done by the gas, then it will decrease the kinetic energy of the system. That is what the first law means. अब अगर आप इसको पुश करोगे ऊपर से नीचे, सो लेट्स थिंक अबाउट इट लाइक दिस, कैसे कैसे एनर्जी डिक्रीज होगा और कैसे, लेट्स थिंक अबाउट लाइक दिस. सो इफ यू हैव अ पिस्टन, not in terms of temperature, nothing else, just consider this gas as a piece of molecules, a gas particle. ठीक है, एक बॉल है, इसको आप इस पे कोलाइड कराओगे पिस्टन पे, और ये पिस्टन अगर पीछे जा रहा है उसी टाइम पे कोलाइड कराओगे. if this piston is also moving backward, and at that time if this ball is colliding, eventually what happens is its final kinetic energy and initial kinetic energy. If you hit something which is also going backwards, which is also going backward in the same direction, its final kinetic energy will decrease. But let's talk about this. अब क्रिकेट खेलते हो तो जो सामने से बॉल आता है उसको बैट उसी डायरेक्शन में बैट भी जा रहा है, उसी डायरेक्शन में बाद में बॉल भी जाएगा टकरा के. तो इन दैट केस बॉल्स काइनेटिक एनर्जी इज मोर. तो जब पिस्टन पीछे जा रहा होता है देन दिस बॉल हैज टू ट्रैवल अ लिटिल लार्जर. उसके बाद काइनेटिक एनर्जी कम होगा क्योंकि वो पिस्टन भी पीछे जा रहा है. इट इज गिविंग इट्स काइनेटिक एनर्जी टू द पिस्टन एंड बाद में आने वाला बॉल उसका काइनेटिक एनर्जी कम होगा. बट अगर पिस्टन अंदर आ रहा है तो final kinetic energy will be more because this pressure is there. This pressure is eventually going to be converted into the momentum of this ball, and because the momentum of the ball will be larger in case of piston coming inwards, तो उस केस में इंटरनल एनर्जी बढ़ेगा. क्या ये एक्सप्लेनेशन समझ आ रहा है? बिकॉज इफ यू टॉक इट लाइक दिस कि जो बॉल आ रहा है उसके सामने ही पिस्टन आ रहा होगा तो इट्स फाइनल बिकॉज दिस पिस्टन इज ऑल्सो प्रोवाइडिंग इट सम मोमेंटम. तो इसका फाइनल मोमेंटम ज्यादा होगा और मोमेंटम ज्यादा होगा तो काइनेटिक एनर्जी ज्यादा होगा. तो जब भी ये पिस्टन को हम प्रेस करते हैं तो अंदर के गैस का काइनेटिक एनर्जी बढ़ जाता है. तो हम प्रेस कर रहे हैं इट मींस वी आर डूइंग वर्क ऑन द सिस्टम एंड इन दैट केस वॉल्यूम इज ऑलवेज रिड्यूस्ड. तभी हम वर्क करेंगे तो वॉल्यूम इज ऑलवेज रिड्यूस्ड. सो इफ वी आर डूइंग वर्क, if we are not doing work then this is taken as PdV. So in that case this is taken as PdV and it will volume will always increase, so dV is always positive and dV is always positive means it will always decrease the total kinetic energy जब भी ये spread हो रहा होगा. Gas is doing work, but if we are doing work we are changing the volume in the opposite direction, so eventually this is going to be minus PdV. That's what that means, that we are doing work on the system. This means we are the work is done by the system. uh, if you have any still got any questions you can just directly ask because this is very important concept and good that you brought this up here.
नहीं सर समझ में आ गया.
Okay, clear, right?
Right.
If you still have got any doubts just stay after the class or we can discuss if you still haven't any doubts, because this is a very important topic and it is good that you brought it here because first law of thermodynamics is a very crucial part in our understanding of thermodynamics और वो समझना बहुत जरूरी from all point of view including exams and the practical physical applications as well. So this is why I am taking this minus PdV as negative, minus PdV as work done on the system and just PdV as work done by the system. This is the reason behind it. तो जब भी गैस एक्सपांड हो रहा है तो उसका काइनेटिक एनर्जी कम होगा. यू कैन थिंक अबाउट लाइक दिस कि अगर जब भी अंदर आ रहा है तो काइनेटिक एनर्जी बढ़ेगा. जैसे वो पीछे जा रहा है और इसको स्ट्राइक करेगा कोई पार्टिकल तो इट्स इवेंचुअली इट्स काइनेटिक एनर्जी इज गोइंग टू बी लेस कंपेयर टू इनिशियल काइनेटिक एनर्जी क्योंकि मोमेंटम कम हुआ है. ठीक है, वो पीछे जा रहा था और आप टकराए हो तो मोमेंटम कम हुआ है. एंड इफ इट इज कमिंग हियर इन दिस डायरेक्शन तो मोमेंटम बढ़ेगा इवेंचुअली. So this is just normal case of momentum and momentum is directly related to the kinetic energy. That's why we are writing it like this. One way to put it is this. Other way is the temperature thing that we talked about. Okay. So yes, any more questions till this point? I'm still open to questions. Okay. So for this, all these things were for infinitesimal processes, for very small changes in A and for very small changes in everything. But for finite processes, isothermal processes, also all these relations hold. So for finite isothermal process, this A is written as U minus Ts. So for finite isothermal process, this is delta A at constant temperature minus delta U at constant temperature minus T delta S at constant temperature. And this T delta S at constant temperature is nothing but the heat. So it is delta UT minus delta Q at constant temperature. The heat supplied to the system is this, given by this. And this is written as minus WT from the first law of thermodynamics, delta W equal to delta Q minus delta W. So at everything, if it is at isothermal enclosure, everything is done in isothermal enclosure, then this is going to be minus delta W. And in this also you can see that if this is delta AT, and if delta AT is positive, then eventually work is done On the system or by the system? Anybody? Now I want to know whether you understood it or not. If delta AT is positive, means final free energy is more compared to the initial free energy, and final free energy is more, it means work is done on the system or by the system.
On the system?
Yes, definitely on the system. So you can think it like this, that if you do work on the system, its free energy will go up. Not the actual energy, but its free energy will go up if you do the work on the system. Its free energy will go up. And why we wrote it like this? So delta AT is positive, that means this side is positive, that means this side is negative of the delta WT. Only delta WT part is work done by the system. As per our notations, this is work done by the system. Then minus delta WT is work done on the system. So that's why it is on the system. And now if delta AT is negative, then work done by the system. So including this negative part, let me write, including this negative part is work done on the system. So if you do work on the system, its Helmholtz free energy will go up. So Helmholtz free energy is directly nothing else but the work done. Directly is work done in isothermal processes, of course. But in isothermal processes, the go-to guy for us for problem solving is this Helmholtz free energy. Okay. Now let's talk about something else. In which processes this A will remain constant? So for isothermal and isochoric processes, for isothermal and isochoric process, you can write this dA initially is minus PdV minus SdT. This was the actual formula for dA or dF, whatever you call it. For isothermal and isochoric processes, isochoric means no change in volume, isothermal means no change in temperature. Therefore, dA is going to be 0. That means A is going to be constant. It means that in those processes involving no change in volume and no change in temperature, this guy's initial and final values are equal. So let me write it in words. Helmholtz function or Helmholtz free energy function has same initial and final values if the initial and final temperature and volume of the system is same. Okay, so this is all it is for this Helmholtz free energy. This is all it is, nothing else. So if you have got any doubts, kindly ask. Otherwise, we will move forward to the Gibbs function. Any doubts? Okay. So let's move to Gibbs function. This is a graph for pressure versus temperature for the water. Okay. So this is the triple point of water where all three phases of water coexists. You have studied this graph. This curve is called sublimation curve. This curve is called, what do we call this curve? Fusion curve. And this curve is called vaporization curve. There are three curves. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. This is sublimation curve, this is fusion curve, and this is vaporization curve. There are three kind of curves for water, and this image is taken from somewhere from the internet. And you actually want to study the phase transitions of water. To study those phase transitions of water, which is the most helpful thermodynamic potential? That is the question. And the answer is obviously directly Gibbs function. Why is it the most helpful guy? Because G is defined as H minus Ts from the Legendre transformations, and therefore small change in Z can be written as VdP minus S dt. And if you keep both of these guys constant, that means pressure is also constant and temperature is also constant, then change in G is not there. You cannot observe the change in Gibbs function or Gibbs free energy. And that's why this is the most helpful guy in chemistry laboratory as well. Because in chemistry laboratory, either you are doing titration or you are doing those experiments or just uh, keeping chemicals together and just what do you call it, adding chemicals, one chemical to the other. Generally the temperature is eventually the room temperature, ambient temperature, and the pressure, since you do those processes in the open container, pressure is also the atmospheric pressure. So eventually these both guys are constant for chemistry purposes in the chemistry laboratory or in the case of phase transitions as well. So there, in those cases, this G remains constant, and that's why this is useful. So let's talk about a process which is reversible, isothermal, and isobaric. And in that process, dG is going to be zero definitely, and therefore G is going to be constant for those reversible isothermal isobaric processes. This is very helpful for phase transitions because phase transitions also happen in the open space. So let's talk about molar Gibbs function. Molar Gibbs function. What does it mean? Gibbs function for 1 mole of the substance. Just as you defined specific heat, so it is molar specific heat or mass specific heat, anything. So those specific heats are specific for 1 mole of substance or 1 kilogram of substance, etc. So in the same manner, this molar Gibbs function is also specific for 1 mole of substance. Okay, so this molar Gibbs function is written as small g. And let's say that G prime is molar Gibbs function for solid. Uh, for solid, uh, so it is saturated solid. For saturated solid, what do I mean? It is just purely solid, nothing, no other matters exist. If G double prime is for the molar Gibbs function for saturated liquid, and if G triple prime is uh, molar Gibbs function for saturated gas or vapor, then you can take these guys and play around in this phase transition curve. In this curve, G prime is the molar Gibbs function in this region where this phase is solid. In this region, the phase is liquid, so molar Gibbs function is G double prime. And in this region, the phase is gaseous, so molar Gibbs function is G triple prime. On this line, on this green line, let me use green color, on this green line, both of these guys are equal. Why? Because if you sublimate a solid, that means just converting directly solid to gas. If you sublimate a solid on the sublimation curve, which is drawn in the green line, on the sublimation curve, G prime is going to be G triple prime. Why? Because you are changing the phase from one phase to the final phase at constant pressure and constant temperature, because you are doing that in the room environment, ambient environment. So sublimation, in process of sublimation, G prime is equal to G triple prime. In process of fusion from solid or melting, you can say fusion or melting, on this curve, G prime is going to be G double prime, because the molar Gibbs function of solid is going to be equal to molar Gibbs function of liquid, because both of those phases are going to coexist. What are you doing actually? There is a bowl, you have taken a cube of ice, let's say, and in that cube of ice you are heating it up, you are measuring the Gibbs function. So on this curve, the Gibbs function for solid and liquid are same, molar Gibbs function. On this curve, let me draw it with the blue line. On this curve, the molar Gibbs function of liquid and gas are same. So, and at the triple point, which is drawn in this red color, so let me draw it with the black pen. On the triple point, all three molar Gibbs functions are going to be equal. All three molar Gibbs functions are going to be equal, and you actually use this fact that all three molar Gibbs functions are equal and find out the triple point of any substance. For water, the triple point is 273.15 Kelvin at some specific pressure. I don't remember that pressure, but at some specific pressure, not at the environment pressure, atmospheric pressure. So by using this fact actually in the laboratory, you measure the triple point of any substance. So this is the best use of Gibbs function. This is the use, and whenever you study the phase transition in detail, that is going to be the task of your master's syllabus. So whenever you study the phase transition in detail, you are going to use this Gibbs function lots and lots, so many times. Okay, so you are going to use this Gibbs function so many times. That is what you are going to learn. If you will do MSc in physics, you are going to use Gibbs function, and even if you do it in chemistry, you are going to use this Gibbs function. So just pay attention. Just understand what does it mean. It means that it is useful for this. So what does it mean actually? I have not told you its physical significance, because it is related to chemical potential. The guy mu that we studied in the statistical mechanics, it is related to this chemical potential. Its physical meaning is related to the chemical potential. So I have not told you this, that what does it mean physically. Just as enthalpy means the heat, uh, a Helmholtz free energy means the work done. Gibbs free energy, it means something physically, but since this chemical potential is not in your syllabus in thermodynamics, it is safe to keep hands away from it for now. Okay, because you will be studying these parts in your next semester, so doesn't matter. So this, its physical meaning is contained somewhere inside that chemical potential that you have studied there, and you will going to be studying it in detail in next semesters. So this is the part. Anybody has any questions till this point? This curve is called fusion curve. This is called, this everything is written in your book actually. So I just draw a picture and made it simplified for you, but you can read your book. So this is fusion curve, this is sublimation curve, and this is vaporization curve, and the values respectively are given like this. Okay, so anybody has any questions? Okay, so let's move to something else, something very simple. And since we know all the physical meanings of all these three guys, let's move to something simple, means internal energy equations. What is internal energy equations? For that, you must know what is an equation of state. What is an equation of state? Equation of state is this: PV equal to nRT. P plus A by Vm square, and Vm minus B equal to RT. These guys are called equation of state. This is equation of state for van der Waals gas. This is equation of state for ideal gas. These guys are called equation of state because what they do is they relate state variables with each other. That's why they are called equation of state, nothing else. They relate state variables with each other. P, V, T are state variables. Here also P, Vm, molar volume, Vm and T are state variables. We'll talk about this molar volume in a moment. So what is molar volume? Molar volume is total volume per total number of moles. So for 1 mole of gas, how much volume does it require for 1 mole of gas to actually fit itself? So this is molar volume. So this is molar volume. How much volume you require, 1 mole of gas requires. This is molar volume, Vm. So this is van der Waals equation of state. This is ideal gas equation of state. Equation of state means just we are relating those state variables with each other. And there are many equations of state, many equations of state. And you know that how much this equation is useful. You know this because we have used it at very many occasions, so many occasions. This equation, the first equation, PV equal to nRT. The second equation is not useful for you guys for now. It is not much useful, but it will be if you do some research in this field, or if you are a chemistry student, this will be useful. Okay, but there are many other equations of states as well. And our purpose for today's next 20 minutes is to derive 2 more equations of state, which are known as internal energy equations. So they will relate internal energy, which is a state variable, with other variables of state, P, V, and T. So they are also equation of state, and we want to derive them. So let's derive the first internal energy equation. first internal energy equation, you know that dV is minus PdV plus TdS. So this du is equal to the small change in internal energy is minus PdV plus TdS. Let's divide both sides by dV. Du by dV equal to T ds by dV minus P. Let's write it like this. Just divide both sides by V. Therefore, you can get this. So what we did was divide by dV, both sides. Now, eventually, what you are going to get, if you keep temperature constant for constant T, if temperature is held constant, then this U, definitely U, S and P are the function of V and T, you can say. If temperature is held constant, that means this U, which is a function of V and T both, this proper differentiation will become partial differentiation. Here also the proper differentiation will become partial differentiation minus P. For constant T, this is the equation. Now we are going to use one Maxwell relation, which tells you from Maxwell's relations. I hope you remember all the Maxwell's relation. One Maxwell relation was something like this: del S by del V at constant T equal to del P by del T at constant V. If you remember this relation, kindly raise your hand. I want to just, even if you don't remember, you are sure that you can derive this in a moment if I tell you to. Kindly raise your hand. Okay, so one student can derive this quickly. Why only one student? Maxwell's relation, I think you can derive, right? You can derive those relations. 4 relations we derived. This is one of them. So this is Maxwell's relations, MR. One of the Maxwell relations. So we are just going to substitute this del S by del V at constant T to this del P by del T at constant V in this equation. Therefore, what you can have is del U. What you can have is del U by del V. Del U by del V at constant T equal to T del P by del T at constant V minus P. Now this whole equation became the equation of state, but still this is the equation of state. This is known as the first internal energy equation. This is an equation of state. This equation is known as the first internal energy equation. This is known as the first internal energy equation. This is an equation of state, and we have studied it for some reason. It doesn't mean that we have just directly studied it and for nothing else. We studied it for some reason. And why did we study it? Let me give you a simple example of ideal gas. This is the first internal energy equation, and this is useful in many places, at many places. So we are just taking 2 of those examples where it is useful. So first example is ideal gas. Can anybody of you tell me that in ideal gas, internal energy is a function of which parameters? Which parameters? In ideal gas, I'm talking about the internal energy U is property of which parameters from your basic 11-12 standard? U is property of which either it is if pressure changes, can U change? If volume changes, can U change? Or if temperature changes, can U change? It depends on which parameters for ideal gas. Can anybody of you tell me? For ideal gas, what is the internal energy? We talked about this, I know this. What is internal energy? Just speak up, no problem. Even if the answer is not 100% correct. I know that you know something. So what is internal energy? Now can anybody answer me that simple question?
Energy related to mean kinetic energy of the gas.
Gas and also the potential energy, but since the ideal gas is not interacting with itself, so potential energy is 0 in this case. Yes. So yes, thank you for the answer. It is mean kinetic energy, related to mean kinetic energy. Now for ideal gas, the mean kinetic energy will depend on which parameters, pressure, volume or temperature. You have to think it like this कि कौन सा पैरामीटर कांस्टेंट रखोगे तो काइनेटिक एनर्जी चेंज ही नहीं होगा.
Temperature.
Temperature, yes. So out of all those both lines, can you connect the dots and tell me U is function of which parameter for ideal gas?
Just temperature.
Just temperature. So you write it like this, kBT. This is the famous equipartition theorem. For each degree of freedom you have 1/2 kBT energy, the famous theorem. So from this only you can say that U is only and only dependent on temperature for ideal gas. This is what we realized after doing so many calculations and using the kinetic theory of gases. But now we are going to reach at the same result by using this first internal energy equation. This is what we are going to use, and we are going to reach at the same relation, exactly same relation. How will we do that? We want to prove that internal energy is only function of temperature alone, nothing else. So using this thermodynamics. So for ideal gas, we know that equation of state can be written as PV equal to nRT. One equation of state is this. There are so many equation of states. This is also an equation of state for any gas or any liquid as well. PV equal to nRT. So in this, what we want, del P by del T at constant V. So it implies that del P by del T at constant V. How much should it be? How much should be the answer? Can anybody tell me? Should be nR upon V, because you take this V in the denominator. So P eventually becomes nRT by V, and then you can take differentiation with respect to temperature alone, taking V constant. So P equal to nRT by V, and you can find out this del P by del T at constant V. If anybody of you has this problem in this mathematics, kindly raise hand. Otherwise, I'll move fast. Okay. So this is nR upon V. So P is nRT upon V, and from this you can get this. And now let's put all these values in this equation. Del U by del V at constant T equal to T into del P by del T at constant V is nR upon V. Therefore, del U by del V at constant temperature is T into this number, which is nR upon V minus P. From where minus P came? From here, minus P. And you can easily see that this is nothing but nRT by V minus P, which is P minus P, which is going to be 0. Therefore, del U by del V at constant temperature is going to be 0. That means, what does it mean? That U is not changing. For constant temperature. U is not changing for constant temperature. Even if you change volume by whatever amount you want, U will not change. If temperature is kept constant, U will never change. So U is not changing for constant temperature. And from this, you can say that therefore, since U is not changing for constant temperature, therefore U is function of temperature only. Not volume, not pressure, not anything else. Because if it would have been the function of volume, it would have been the function of pressure as well, because you can relate pressure and volume with each other. But since it is a function of temperature only, you can prove it like this. And you prove the same thing using the kinetic theory of gas as well. You prove the same thing using your intuitions as well. So this is the result we got from this equation of state, or the internal energy equation. But the process is a little bit different the fact is a little bit different if you talk about van der Waals gas. For van der Waals gas, the equation of state is written like this: P minus A by Vm square. Does anybody remember this equation of state for van der Waals gas from your 11th standard chemistry? If I am not wrong, I remember this. Vm square, V minus Vm minus B equal to RT. Can anybody remember this? Or can anybody try and explain this, that why we are using this kind of equation, or what is one equation of state for van der Waals gas? Okay, so let me explain this equation, because it is a very beautiful equation in itself. So this equation, it means that we are moving from the ideal gas to the real gas. We are moving from the ideal gas to real gas, and this is one of the approximations, one of the approximated results for real gas. There are many other results as well. There are many more equations for real gas as well, but this is the least complicated. This is the simplest of them all, and this also provides a good understanding. Now, as we are moving from ideal gas to real gas, which were our assumptions in ideal gas? The first assumption was that molecules are not interacting. It means there is no potential. That means no two molecules are actually attracting themselves each other, or no two molecules are actually repelling each other. So here it is plus A by Vm square. I'm sorry. So no two molecules are attracting each other and no two molecules are repelling each other. They were not interacting. But in real gases, they are weakly interacting. So in real gases, they are weakly interacting. There can exist some potential if they are very close to each other. They can be gravitational potential, anything, but they are weakly interacting. They are not exactly non-interacting. They are interacting, but weakly interacting in real gas. So what will happen in the ideal gas? The equation of state was PV equal to nRT. So pressure is directly related to the force of attraction. Since there was no attraction, the pressure was P. But now, since there is an additional attraction as well, apart from those collisions, there is an additional attraction as well. So pressure of the gas has to increase. Pressure of the gas has to increase, and that increment term is given by A by Vm square. That increment term, you can find out about why this term came in your statistical mechanics. Using statistical mechanics, you can exactly know why this term came, why this additional term is only A by Vm square and not anything else. But for our intuitional purposes, हमें बस feel आ जाए कि pressure तो बढ़ेगा, क्योंकि force बढ़ रहा है, कुछ नया force add हो रहा है, तो gas का pressure तो बढ़ना ही चाहिए, because they are weakly interacting now. Pressure बढ़ना चाहिए. But in ideal gas, all the gas particles were point particles. मतलब उनका साइज 0 था. मतलब हर एक गैस पार्टिकल के लिए बाकी सारे पार्टिकल्स जैसे थे ही नहीं, तो पूरा बॉक्स का जो वॉल्यूम था वो उसका अपना वॉल्यूम था. The full volume of the box was its own volume, but now they have some finite sizes. So eventually the volume of the box has to, okay, so I can write this equation not as PV equal to nRT, but I can just change this equation a little bit as PVM equal to RT. PVM equal to RT. VM is V by N. Just took N this side. So it is molar volume. So I can write this as PVM equal to RT. Now pressure increased, volume has to decrease, because अब एक पार्टिकल है, उसके सामने और भी पार्टिकल है जो बॉक्स का बाकी का वॉल्यूम ऑक्यूपाई करेंगे. So the volume due to all other particles has to neglected for that individual particle. कि अब बॉक्स का टोटल वॉल्यूम Vm नहीं बचा है, एक मोल का वॉल्यूम Vm नहीं बचा है, कुछ वॉल्यूम कम भी हो गया because of the finite size of other particles. And this decrease in volume is governed by this another van der Waals coefficient. A and B are van der Waals coefficient. This is equal to RT. So this is the actual feel of this van der Waals equation. You can feel it like this. And the origin of this, why it is 1 by Vm square only here, this can be studied if you study the advanced statistical mechanics. But my purpose is not that. My purpose is just to give you the feel of this, that why we are using this. Pressure has to increase because they are weakly interacting. Volume has to decrease because they are finite size particles. So the volume of the box minus the volume contained by all other particles is eventually the volume seen by the particle which is moving around. Okay, so in real gas, this is the equation of state, and for real gas we want to know whether the internal energy depends on temperature only or it depends on other parameters as well. This is our purpose. So let's use this equation of state for ideal gas. This is the equation of state for internal energy, sorry, not ideal gas. The first internal energy equation, which is the equation of state. Let's use this to probe our van der Waals gas. So it is in the equation, let me write it again here. So the equation is del U by del V at constant temperature equal to T del P by del V at del P by del T, sorry, at constant volume minus P. This is the equation of state or first internal energy equation. And using this first internal energy equation, we want to find out something. But can I change this internal energy equation for everything for per mole? So this becomes UM. It becomes the internal energy per mole. Okay, this becomes Vm. It means internal energy per mole. Temperature is temperature. It does not change even if 1 mole of the particle or any mole of the particle. Pressure is pressure. It will not change. Minus P. Okay, so Um and Vm means molar internal energy and molar specific volume, molar volume. Okay, so Um is U by number of moles, and Vm is V by number of moles. So you can take 1 mole of the particle, it doesn't matter. For 1 mole of the particle, is U and Vm is V, nothing else. In your book, it is written in not written as Um and Vm. In your book, it is written as small u and small v. In your book, it is written like this. But I'm going to write it as Vm and V because capital V and small v cannot be distinguished if I write it. In typing, it can be distinguished. Okay, so this is the case. Now let's do this del P by del T at constant volume, constant molar volume. Let's do this from equation of state. So del P by del T, you can write P from this equation of state. So how can you write P? P, where this Um is this and Vm is this. Therefore, P is equal to RT upon Vm minus B minus A by Vm square. This is the equation of pressure. Okay, so Vm by minus B, you take it in the denominator, and A by Vm square, you take it on the other side. So it is A by Vm square. Okay, in your book, it is written as 1 by Vm square, whereas it is a typing error. So just correct that typing error. It is not 1 by Vm square, it is A by Vm square. So here it is a typo in your book. It is 1 by, it has to be 1 by Vm square. It has to be A by Vm square. In your book, it is written as 1 by Vm square. Okay, so there is a typo in the book. Okay, therefore, what does this pressure, if you want to calculate del P by del T at constant molar volume, it eventually turns out to be R upon Vm minus B. It turns out to be this. Okay, and you just put it directly in this internal energy equation and you can realize something. Therefore, del Um by del Vm at constant temperature equal to T into R upon Vm minus P. This T into del P by del T minus P, and P is nothing but RT upon Vm minus P minus plus A by Vm square. Therefore, del Um by del Vm, at constant temperature, these two guys can cancel, is equal to A by Vm square. Now it means that internal energy also depends on this molar volume. So for ideal gas, the internal energy was only the temperature of only the function of temperature. But in real gas, the internal energy is function of temperature as well as volume. Now you can write small change in internal energy is del U by del V at constant T dV. So let me write it like this. Therefore, U depends, I should write, depends on Vm as well. So it depends on temperature and Vm. So since Um is a function of Vm and T, you can write it like this. Vm plus del Um by del T at constant Vm into dt. This is the first fundamental principle that we studied, and you know this number from here. So it is A by Vm square, A by Vm square into dVm plus dUm by dt at constant volume is specific heat at constant volume and dt. This number is specific heat at constant volume. This guy completely is specific heat at constant volume. This is the dUm. So this Um depends on volume as well as temperature. That's what I wanted to tell you, guys. Therefore, from here you can take the integration both sides. So Um is equal to integration CV dt minus A by VA Vm plus some constant. So you can do this. This is the integration for the specific heat CV for different materials. It will be different for different real gases, and you can do the integration for different purposes. Okay, so this means that U also depends on V as well as T. And if you want to increase U, so you can increase with Vm's decrement if even if T is constant. So if you decrease this Vm, this number will eventually increase. This is increment. I'm sorry. You can increase with the increase in volume even if T is constant. So if you increase the volume, this number will eventually go down, and since it is minus and going down, it will eventually increase by UM. So internal energy of the gas can also increase if you just increase the volume of the box that you are using. Just increase the volume of the box, internal energy will increase even if temperature is constant. So this is wonderful wonderful result that even if T is constant, you can increase internal energy, and this is obtained from the first internal energy equation. Any doubts till this point? I still need your 5 minutes. Still need 5 minutes. 5 more.
Sir,
Huh?
sir, in the second last expression,
Which
yes,
one?
here, the
Here.
second last expression.
Huh?
Sir, here we describe d del UM by del T as CV. That is
Yes.
specific heat at constant volume. But
Yes.
shouldn't it be molar specific heat at constant volume?
Yes, definitely it is molar specific. Thank you. Thank you for pointing it out. It is molar specific heat. At constant volume, yes. Definitely it is molar specific heat. Thank you. It is for 1 mole. That's why it is molar specific heat. Okay, so I still need your 5 minutes, and after that you can ask as many questions as you want. So you can write du, the second internal energy equation. I am going to derive it here, just 2 lines derivation. So du is minus pdv plus tds. Now you can divide both sides. Initially you divided it with v, so now you divide it by p. Du by dp is equal to minus p dv by dp minus t ds by dp. Now at constant temperature, all these perfect differentials will turn itself into the partial differentiation del u by del p at constant temperature equal to minus p del v by del p at constant temperature minus t del s by del p at constant temperature. Okay, sorry, I wrote it minus here. I don't know why, but it has to be plus TdS by dP. Okay, therefore you can use a Maxwell relation del S by del P at constant T. You can equate it with something else. So del U by del P constant T equal to minus T del V by del T at constant pressure plus minus P del V by del P at constant T. So what I did was I changed this guy with this guy, okay, and this guy into minus sign, of course, and I just wrote it here. So this guy I wrote it here completely. So this is the Maxwell relation, that del S by del P, where we use the fact that del S by del P at constant temperature equal to negative of del V by del T at constant pressure. These both guys are equal. Okay. So I hope you can derive this Maxwell relation as well. And we just used this Maxwell relation to reach out to what is known as the second internal energy equation. This is the second internal energy equation. I want to draw a box around it. This is useful, definitely useful for engineering students. Why is it useful for engineering students? You can see here two guys. One is del V by del T at constant pressure, and one is del V by del P at constant temperature. You can see both of these guys here. Del V by del T at constant pressure, del V by del P at constant temperature. What are those things? These things. It means that how will volume change if you change the temperature? It means it is related if you just multiply it by 1 by V. Okay, volume will increase if you increase the temperature, so it is plus 1 by V, and if you just multiply it with minus 1 by V, this guy becomes adiabatic. Isobaric, sorry, not adiabatic, I'm sorry. This guy becomes isobaric expansivity. It tells you that if you increase the temperature of something, how much will the volume increases. And this guy is known as isothermal. What? Compressibility. Because if you increase the pressure, the system gets compressed. That's why if you change the volume with changing pressure, it is known as compressibility. If you change the volume with changing the temperature, it is known as expansivity. This is isobaric expansivity. This is isothermal compressibility. Compressibility is written as kappa. And since it is isothermal, it is known as kappa T. Since expansivity is written as beta, so it is beta P. Isothermal, isobaric expansivity. You know these things because you have studied it in this course only. But even if you don't know this, this is the point where you can know this. अभी सीख लो. ठीक है? This is the official ending of the class, and now I'm open for any questions that you guys have.